A short time ago, I recorded a video that talked about mining Bitcoin had become unprofitable. And obviously there are cycles, every year there are cycles where it's, I should say, in prior years where it had been profitable and then it would become profitable. And those of us with mining contracts understood, some days you get a payout, some days you don't. This year was a little bit different a few weeks ago, where actually the payouts, or I like to call them the yields from the mining contracts, had reached a point where the yields were actually not enough to pay for the maintenance associated with those contracts. And depending upon who your mining contract is with, in some instances you just don't get a payout at all. In other instances, you actually need to have a balance of Bitcoin, and they would pay the maintenance fees out of your balance. So just depending upon who you're with would determine whether or not you notice those things. Now, I've got a couple, so I've experienced both sides of that equation. And so one organization, just so happens I don't have a contract with them. I did create an account, but I never actually transacted. Hashflare a week or so ago notified that they were going to suspend, or actually I think they said cancel all SHA-256 contracts in light of the fact that the Bitcoin network had become unprofitable and there were many challenges. They kind of went on and on and on, and sent an email to those of us with accounts that the service would be canceled or discontinued. It's like, wow. And I recorded a video to talk a little bit about that. Interestingly enough, over the weekend, we, maybe it was late last week, we got a note from Hashflare indicating that there was good news. They had found a way to better deal with the challenges, and that they would be within 24 hours of that note coming out, 24 or 48 hours of that note coming out, they would be resuming the contracts for SHA-256 mining. So I thought that was interesting. I had originally been planning a video that talked, more in depth about the dwindling of these contracts and what that meant for price discovery. John McAfee talked about what it would cost to mine a single Bitcoin in the year 2020, and how that would directly correlate with the price of a single Bitcoin, and how he was looking backwards from those aspects of the space, and that's how he determined his $1 million per Bitcoin price. But I was thinking, let's think about that a bit more in depth. If it were a situation where more of these companies were actually going to be shutting down their mining operations due to the difficulty of mining Bitcoin and the lack of profitability. So price of Bitcoin is high. More and more machines stop mining. So ostensibly, the difficulty would begin to decrease at some point, but those mining operations that were able to stick it out, prevail, stay in the game, so to speak, would be the beneficiaries of quite a substantial number in terms of monetary value, right? More players dropping out, the value of the coins remaining relatively high, difficulty coming down, and you have to wonder, well, if the difficulty comes down, how does that play into McAfee's prediction for the price of a single Bitcoin. Yeah, some things to still think about there, but I also can't ignore the fact that there are some big players that continue to invest in substantial infrastructure around Bitcoin. Coinbase, Gemini, Kraken, BitMEX. You look at those names, you look at their activity, and then you align that with the FUD, as it is called. These guys aren't investing as aggressively as they are investing for no reason. And I continue to see the appearance of Bitcoin ATMs in places that they once were not. So I guess this is a rather long video and hopefully somewhat informative, but I guess the message to sum it all up is not to be fooled by the FUD. If you allow yourself to fall into that trap, I fear that you could wake up one morning or one afternoon and have missed an incredible opportunity. So I'll wrap this one up. It's run on far longer than I thought it would. I don't know, can't see the timer, going on 7 minutes. So again, hopefully this is useful. Hopefully this stirs some thinking, some thought. And yeah, you will see me in the next one.